So that, with that said, how can that person who maybe received that diagnosis talk themselves down or get out of that stress and anxiety label that they were given?
Well, I think it's important to see that they're more than just that. Just like there is an anxious side of you, and then there are other sides. There is maybe this person is a loving father, a loving mother. Maybe there's a, gifted musician, or maybe it's a great athlete. I mean, you can identify yourself with many things. You just have to know this is an aspect of me. It's a part of me that has been misunderstood, underappreciated, and not integrated. So see this more as, okay, this is an encouragement to look for this aspect of me, to see what are the root causes of the survival mode, rather than saying this is all of who I am and I'm going to be with this for the rest of my life. But talking quickly about these parts and the anxiety part that brings us into the constant state of survival, one of the things that I find important is that you're not just doing the integration process and relying on this one-time event that is very healing, but that you're really also continuously working with this part of you that you have reintegrated, and really working on creating a relationship of trust, a relationship of guidance, because our mind, especially when we are in stress for a long time, has created these grooves. And those grooves, even though you get yourself onto a new pattern, a new perspective, they need to still be replaced. So, for example, control needs to be replaced with trust. Avoidance needs to be replaced with self-expression. Always trying to, take care of others need to be replaced with taking care of yourself. Trying to be the best needs to be taken care of with appreciating what is. So there are new ways of really trying to not only make this a one-time healing, but really transforming continuously. And this only goes through the heart. A lot of people say, well, if I have a negative thought, I counterbalance it. But it's like an inner debating club. It's not really coming from the heart. It's really not with an emotion of kindness and compassion. And your subconscious mind can care less about any debates. It actually threatens, feels more threatened by debates. When you're actually approaching it from a, let's say a role of the mature, kind, compassionate adult, then your subs will listen, and then it will create a new foundation of trust.
So when you do the real work, then it makes the other situations easier. But you mentioned grooves, that for a long time, these grooves have been dug very deeply where it comes to stress and anxiety. There's several of them. And these are basically neural pathways that you're talking about, right? That are physical bridges of memory and stress and training the brain to do that, right?
Absolutely.
So you're saying that you need to create new ones, and as you create new ones, the other ones start to dissipate and implode and dissolve, right?
Absolutely. This is one of the things that we often do, talking about stress solutions. We hear about, oh, that's what you need to do. You need to breathe. Oh, that's what you need to do. You need to journal. But we only do it when we are actually stressed out of our minds. And studies have shown that naturally, when we are stressed, we fall into the patterns that we have learned early on. So we eat, we watch TV, we distract ourselves, maybe we take drugs to not feel. These are the patterns that are old. Now, in order to really create new patterns, you have to practice those patterns when you're not stressed. But the interesting thing these studies showed was that after just a few weeks of practicing these better behaviors, even a situation, you fall back in the better behaviors because simply they feel better. So something actually gives you a choice, and it's very easy to make the positive choice. It just takes a little training. So don't try to learn driving in a blizzard. Don't try to learn meditating when you are in a panic. Right. Try to do it before.
Very interesting. Okay, the website again, to get access to this information instantly, it's an instant download when you purchase the product, is theawareshow.com/solution. And these exercises are deep, in depth, and I love the fact that they're created by a physician who understands not only molecular biology, but neuro-linguistic programming and psychology, to understand how to integrate all of those things into really effectively creating lasting change within a couple of hour period. And so some people are asking, is there a way they can get an experience of what it is that you're talking about? Is there any exercise that we can lead people through that can give them just a glimpse of an idea? I've had that, and I'm trying to figure out how to express that to the audience. How do I get people to really understand that this is possible? It's not a magic trick, flash in the pan performance. This is something
No.
where it's not. I mean, I've been to those where somebody does a rah-rah performance up on stage and tricks somebody into becoming a board, and then their pain is gone, and you walk out of there and you have no idea what just happened because it didn't help you. But yet the show was really good. What can we give in terms of an experience for people?
Well, we can certainly, guide them to this place where they actually connect for the first time to the part of them that is actually feeling more anxious. So that would be a just simple beginning, but certain thing where you really open your mind and realize, wow, I do actually have just a whole facet of aspects inside of me. So if you're ready, we can just go ahead with that.
Absolutely. Thank you very much. Great.
So all the audience need to do is just to lean back and get comfortable and close your eyes and just allow yourself to take a deep breath in and exhale, and just take another deep breath in and exhale. And I would like you just to think about, when you think about stress and how you are dealing with stress and how you are trying to respond to this impulse of stress. I want you just to notice if your impulse is about hiding out and just trying to blend in or be invisible, whether your impulse is to take care of others and make sure that they like you, whether your impulse is to micromanage and make sure that you're in control and nothing unforeseeable can happen, or whether your impulse is to always have to be a goal-getter, someone who performs and somehow who always needs to be the best and perfect. Try to notice the pattern and what it feels like to fall into the pattern. Chances are you have done it many, many times. And then notice the stress underneath the pattern. Notice how you feel underneath the pattern, and also notice how you feel about yourself. You may notice that maybe deep inside you don't feel good enough to be visible. You may feel deep inside that you're not safe to let go of control. You notice maybe deep inside that you're not worthy of love. Or maybe you feel deep inside that you have to earn your keep. You have to work to belong. You cannot just assume that you have a right to be here. When you feel this, imagine that there is a thread that leads you back to an event way back where you already had felt that. And this event comes spontaneously to you. Let your subconscious guide you to a memory where you already had experienced one of those patterns. Now, as you're there, just go right into the memory, actually looking through the eyes of who you were at that time, just briefly getting a glimpse of what it felt like to be like that. You don't have to know exactly what happened specifically. You just want to know how it felt like to be you, and how it felt like to be forced internally to fall into this pattern. And then go right out of this event, looking at this younger self. And approach this younger self in your adult form. When you see this younger self, maybe with a stressed face, frowns, maybe with the shoulders slumped forward, maybe hiding out somewhere, maybe running around frantically, maybe pulling its hair, when you see this younger self, notice what you feel. And this is a very critical point, because for some, it may be at the beginning that you feel that you reject this part of you. You may not feel immediately that you actually want to embrace this part of you. Maybe you just observe it without any feeling. But what I would like you to really remember is how bad it felt to be in this place. And I would like you to open up your heart to a compassion, to an understanding for what you went through at that time. For that part of you that is still trapped in the past, entangled in that pattern. And then approach this part. And tell this part that you came all the way back from the future to actually be there for him or her. And take a moment to see if you can tell this part anything this part right now needs to hear. Maybe this part always had thought it was all his or her fault. Always blamed himself for anything that happened. Maybe this part always felt less than others, or somewhat powerless and unsafe. Whatever you want to right now share with this part to help this part to realize that it's no longer unsafe. It deserves to be loved. That it's not its fault. And then imagine for a moment that you, whenever you feel stressed and fall into a pattern like this, whenever you hear a negative voice inside of you that says, you should do more, you should give more, you should hurry up, you should not speak up, whatever those voices are, that they come exactly from that part. Remember, in the past, what you may have done was just to ignore the voice, or maybe get angry at the voice, or maybe give it even right and say, you're right, we have to work harder. We need to shut up and put up. We need to give more. But now that you know where it comes from, wouldn't your approach be much different? Now what you can do is actually to simply ask this part, is it really true what you're thinking? Is it still really true? Or am I choosing to think something different? Does this thought really serve me to heal and become my authentic self? Does it really help me to get out of survival mode when I think this way? And you will probably get no's to all of those questions. And then you simply come up with 2 or 3 things that you, as a loving adult, want to guide this child with. And it needs to come from the heart. It needs to come from compassion and the desire to set the record straight, to fill the void, to redirect this child out of that hopeless survival into a place where he or she can thrive. And then just give this child a big hug. This time feel its presence in your arms. Feel the little body. Notice how good it feels to give this part of you the love and the security it always has been looking for. And notice how this part feels. You will notice it feels at the beginning maybe a little unsure, but soon it will actually ease in and actually enjoy that you're here. And then you can bring yourself back.
Mm.
Take a deep breath in. And welcome back.
Wow.
I mean, this is really just a very, very tiny but nice exercise anyone can do to begin the conversation, to start with a connection. Because out of 100 people that you would do this exercise with, 100 people would have a place to go to that needs attention. And what I often notice is that people actually start to really feel a deep grief, and they don't know what the grief means. And there are different interpretations, but one of the interpretations is that the grief actually is the sadness of being so long disconnected from this part, the sadness of yourself that realizes, oh my God, I have been missing this part. And of course, as part of you having been missing the wholeness of where it belongs. So it's actually a positive shedding of tears, which is always positive, but it's a beautiful grief that just shows you did something significant.
That is incredible that you could actually do that much work in such a short amount of time. That you ask the right questions and you say the right things at the right moments, right when you catch the person right before they fall, to it's okay, and reintegrating that part. And if we could do that with all of the aspects of our life, and these recordings lead people through those types of visualizations, right?
You know, it does. And what I love about the recordings is also that they actually not only help you to reintegrate, they also help you to rebuild. And so there are processes there that, you know, we talked about the identification with anxiety or stress or insecurity or these patterns. And one of the goals of us to really transform and heal is to de-identify yourself. And so there are ways for us to reprogram not only our behavioral patterns, but also our beliefs, so that when you look at yourself and realize, this is actually now the person I choose to be, not the person I was told to be or was made believe to be. This is actually the person that I know I want to grow into when I grow up.
Yes.
And that growing up goes much faster than we thought it would.